morning, everyone. Yeah, good morning. Shall we begin the session? Today's topic is a structured analysis, how we get or how we use the structured analysis, or what are the various effects that is available on the structured analysis, or what is the structured analysis. That means how we can generate the analysis path, or how we can generate what are the various concepts that is used in the structured analysis. That means what are the various concepts that is available or that is used in the structured analysis by which we can represent what are the various information, or what kind of information we support, or what kind of relevant information we support in the structured analysis. That is a we can say the structured analysis that uses the graphics wherever possible. That means a diagram, that is DFD diagrams, relational diagrams, whatever the diagram that is required for the structured analysis. Then next is the differentiate between the logical and the physical address. What is the difference between the logical and the physical address that contains, or what is the difference between the physical and the logical address that is available between the data. Then build a logical system model to familiarize or to use the data that is available, so that is familiarized with the user with the system characteristics and interrelationships before the implementation. Whatever the data, whatever the implementation part that is available, that is used with the implementation part, that is used with the data that is available, that includes DFT diagram, that is data flow diagrams. Now, the system development life cycle with the structured analysis are contains, or what are the various data that contains in structured analysis, that include the study affected area or user areas, that simplifies or that resulting in a physical DFD, and the logical equivalent of the present system results in a logical DFD also. Then removes the physical checkpoint and also replaces them with the logical equivalent. Then model new logical system, whatever the new logical system, whatever the scenarios, we can say whatever the content that is available, so that is used to given to the modifying method called in for the feasibility study. And this step also incorporates the changes that begins to describe the candidate system, that is essentially a paper model system that is to be installed. Now, establish the man-machine interface. Man-machine interface means there is a difference. There is a process that modifies the logical DFDs for the candidate system and also considers the hardware needed to implement the system. And the combination results in the physical DFD of the candidate system. Then next is the quantify the cost and benefit and select the hardware. What is the cost? How we can justify the system? That leads to the selection of the hardware for the candidate system. And after this, or all this is left, after this step is writing the structured specification. And the structured specification consists of DFD. That means there's the English diagram, there is a DFD, there is a decision tree, there is a decision table, whatever the data table that we have considered that is used with the structured analysis, that is attributes. Now, what are the various attributes of the structured analysis? First one, it is graphics. It is a graphical format. That means we can represent with the help of the flow diagrams, with the help of the lines, with the help of the, we can say the various symbol that is used with the DFDs. Then process is partitioned so that we have a clear picture of the progression form, general to specific in the system flow, that is logical rather than the physical. So DFD is a logical method rather than the physical method. And the elements of a system do not depend on the vendor or the hardware, but it also specify in a precise, concise, and highly readable manner that the working of the system and how it hangs together. So how it hangs together, how it works together. So how it is readably, or we can say precisely, concisely, it is used with a readable manner, that is the working of the system. So whatever the DFD, what is the logical method that is used with the physical data, or whatever the scenarios that is available with the physical, that is available with the data. And the elements of a system and the element or whatever the element that is system that is available that do not depend on the vendor or the hardware, whatever the scenarios, whatever the hardware that is available with this. And if we say that there is a commitment that is used, that is likely in the traditional approach to the system analysis, and there are various tasks that are normally carried out late in the system development cycle that are moved to the analysis phase. For example, when you say about the user procedures that are documented rather than later in the implementation, whatever the implementation part that is available in this. Now, next is what are the various steps, or we can say what is the DFD, what are the various symbol that is available in the DFD. And one more thing is that DFD, another name of DFD is the data flow diagram, or we can say the bubble chart, that is has the purpose of clarifying a system. What is the purpose? That is used for the clarifying a system requirement, identifying the major transformation that is available within the system that is used within. Now next is what are the various DFT symbol that is available. So there are four symbols that is used. One is a square that defines a source and the destination. We can say the originator or the destination of the system data. Then next one is arrow that identify what are the various data flow lines that is used in the motion, and that is a pipeline through which the information flows. Now this is one of the example that is given for this. One is a source. This is the next one is a process. This is the data storage. The source is given with the rectangular, yes, or the square bracket. Then with the circle, it is given by the process. With the database, we can say the square, but it is open with the one end that is used for the data storage or the data warehousing. Note that the DFT describes what data flow is or logical is going on, not how they process. It does not depend on the hardware, software, data structure, or the organization. But the key question that we are trying to answer is what major transformation that is that occurs or that must occur for the input to be incorrectly or correctly transformed into the output. So what are the various feedback that is given for the logical system, for the logical operations of the system? First, incoming orders are checked for the correct book title, then author's name and other information that are batched up with the other book item or booked orders. Now these are the various rules that is used with the drawing DFD. First is processes should be named and numbered for easy reference. Each name should be representative of the process. Then direction of flow is from top to the bottom and from left to the right. And data traditionally flows from the source to the destination. Whatever the source, whatever the destination that is acquired from the source to the destination. And although they may be flow back to a source. And one way to indicate this to draw a long flow line back to the source, and there's an alternative way to repeat this process or source symbol as a destination that is acquired. So whatever the destination that is acquired for this, so we can using that destination for that scenario. So since it is more used when the DFD, it is also marked with a short diagonal in the lower right corner. And on a process is exploded into the lower level details, they are also numbered. And the names of data sources and destinations are written in a capital letters, and the processes and the data flows names have a first letter of each word capitalized. So whatever the word, whatever the data that is capitalized with the scenario that is capitalized with the capital letters. And the processes and the data flow names have a first letter of the each word capitalized. Now how detailed should be the DFD be? So what are the various details that is available within the DFD? So if it contains dozens of the processes and data stores, it gets to unwidely or unwitely. And the rule of the thumb is to explode the DFD to a function level so that the next level or next sub-level does not exceed certain processes. And beyond that, it is the best way to take each function separately and expand it to show the explosion of a single process. Single process in the sense whatever the process that is available with a single, and if a user wants to know what happens within the data process within a given process, then the details or the detailed explosion of that process may be shown, that process may be used. And the DFT typically shows the minimum content of the data storage, and each data store contains whatever the element that is flow in and whatever the element that is flow out. There are two parts, one is the flow in, one is the flow out, and the questionnaires can be used to provide the information for its first cut. And all the discrepancies, missing interfaces, redundancies, and the like are then accounting for often through the interviews to the data. And the DFD technology or the methodology is quite effective, especially when the required design is unclear and the user and the analyst needs a notational language for the communication. And in this way, DFD is easy to understand for a brief orientation. Next is data dictionary. We give the names to the data flows, processing, and the data store that is used for the description of the day, that is used for the details. So we are following the DFD, that is our interest for the structured analysis, for the structured data that is available for the analysis, that is available for the data. So that is used with the communication, that is used with establishment, that consists of the various elements, terms, procedure, and during the implementation it also serves with the data. This is one of the example that given that shows what are the various scenarios that is used. So what are the various projects that is going on that is used with the project elements. There is a IMS, there is a systems manual that defines what data will be required, how the data will be required, and why we are new using the data. This can be used with the three classes of the item. One is the data element, one is the data structure, then data flows, and the data stores. The next one is describing the data elements. What are the various data elements that are described? So the description of data element should include the name, description, and the alias that is known as the synonyms. For example, author name first, then whiskey name, then middle. This is the last name, vintage. This is the alias. So a different name, for example, a purchase order may exist or may exist as a PUI dot order, then purchase order. And using the or usage of the characteristics such as the range of the values or the frequency of use or both. The next is how to describe the data structure. What are the various concepts that is used with the data structure? Now, these elements are mandatory whereas others are the optional. And to illustrate, let us explain or let us take the book details. Whatever the book detail that contains that is a data structure that is as follows that is used with the data storage. Then next is describing the data flows and the data stores. So content of a data flow may be described by the names of the data structure that passes along with, and in the earlier examples also book details expresses the content of the data flow that leads to the process. Then additionally it also specifies the data flow, then the destination and the volume if any. So if there is any volume that specifies what is the volume, that volume will be declared, that volume will be used with the book order with the book details, that is the DFDs. So this is the book details. This is the from the new cop all bookstore. Then edition, that is a recent edition required. Then the 40 copies. The next is describing the process. How to describe the process? So this is the easy step that is used to describe the process. The next one is a decision tree.